The 7 shifts that separate hustlers from success stories. You're working 18-hour days, sacrificing sleep, grinding until your eyes burn, but you're still broke, still struggling, still stuck. Here's the truth nobody wants to tell you. Hustle doesn't equal success. It never has, it never will. The graveyard is full of hard workers who died exhausted and empty. Success isn't about working harder, it's about thinking differently. Today, you'll discover the 7 psychological shifts that transform exhausted hustlers into powerful success stories. The strategies that make your effort finally pay off. Before we begin, drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose strategic execution over endless hustle. Now, let's unlock what separates those who grind forever from those who actually win.
Shift 1. Strategic selection over scattered effort. You're saying yes to everything, every opportunity, every meeting, every project. You think you're maximizing your chances, but you're actually guaranteeing your failure. As Warren Buffett once said, the difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. Most hustlers operate on addition. They keep adding more hours, more projects, more commitments. They believe that more effort equals more results. But successful people operate on subtraction. They eliminate ruthlessly. Here's what happens when you say yes to everything. You become a generalist in a world that rewards specialists. You become busy in a world that rewards productive. You become exhausted in a world that rewards energized. Think about the most successful person you know. They're not doing everything. They're doing the right things. They're not available to everyone. They're available to the right people. They're not chasing every opportunity. They're creating opportunities worth chasing. Strategic selection means identifying the 20% of activities that generate 80% of your results and eliminating everything else. It means understanding that what you don't do is as important as what you do. When someone asks for your time, your first question shouldn't be, "Can I fit this in?" Your first question should be, "Does this move me toward my highest priority goal?" If the answer is no, you say no. No explanation needed, no apology required. The hustler asks, "How can I do more?" The successful person asks, "What can I stop doing?" That question changes everything.
Shift 2. Outcome engineering over activity obsession. You're confusing movement with progress. You're tracking hours worked instead of results achieved. You're proud of being busy instead of being effective. As Peter Drucker wrote, efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things. Most hustlers fall in love with their process. They develop elaborate routines and complex systems. They take pride in their work ethic and discipline. But they forget to ask the most important question: is this actually working? Outcome engineering means reverse engineering your goals. Instead of starting with what you know how to do, you start with what you want to achieve. Then you work backwards to figure out the fastest path to get there. Let me show you the difference. A hustler says, "I'm going to work 10 hours today." A successful person says, "I'm going to close 3 clients today." See how the focus shifts? One is measuring input, the other is measuring output. When you're outcome obsessed, you become brutally honest about what's working and what isn't. You kill projects that aren't producing results, even if you've invested time in them. You abandon strategies that aren't effective, even if you like them. You stop doing things that feel productive but don't move the needle. This requires a different relationship with failure. Most people avoid admitting when something isn't working because it feels like admitting they were wrong. Outcome engineers embrace that feedback. They see failed strategies as data, not defeat. Start measuring yourself by results, not effort. Track your actual progress, not your perceived busyness. At the end of each week, ask yourself, did I actually move closer to my goal, or did I just stay busy? The answer to that question will tell you everything you need to know.
Shift 3. Leverage creation over linear effort. You're trading time for money. Your income is directly tied to your hours. You stop working, you stop earning. That's not success. That's just an expensive form of slavery. As Archimedes said, "Give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it, and I shall move the world." Hustlers think in terms of addition. They want to make more money, so they work more hours. They want to reach more people, so they make more phone calls. Their growth is linear and limited by time. Successful people think in terms of multiplication. They create systems that work without them. They build assets that generate value while they sleep. They develop leverage that multiplies their effort. There are 4 types of leverage: labor, capital, code, and media. Labor means having people work for you. Capital means having money work for you. Code means having software work for you. Media means having content work for you. The hustler does everything themselves because they believe they can do it better than anyone else. Maybe that's true, but it doesn't matter because doing everything yourself means your business will never be bigger than you. Successful people are comfortable being outperformed by their systems. They hire people who are better than them at specific tasks. They invest money into tools and technologies that multiply their effectiveness. They create content once that generates value thousands of times. Ask yourself, what am I currently doing that could be systemized, automated, or delegated? For most people, the answer is about 70% of what they do daily. Every hour you spend doing work that could be delegated is an hour you're not spending on the work only you can do. That's not dedication, that's self-sabotage. Stop being proud of doing everything yourself. Start being proud of building something bigger than yourself.
Shift 4. Energy management over time management. You're scheduling every minute of your day. You're optimizing your calendar. You're trying to squeeze productivity out of every hour. But you're ignoring the most important resource you have, your energy. As Tony Schwartz wrote, manage your energy, not your time. Time management assumes every hour is equal, but you know that's not true. An hour of deep work when you're energized and focused is worth 10 hours of scattered work when you're exhausted and distracted. Most hustlers wake up early, work late, and fill every gap with productive activity. They're optimizing for quantity of work, but successful people optimize for quality of state. They understand that their mental clarity, emotional stability, and physical vitality determine their results. Here's what energy management looks like in practice. Instead of asking, when can I fit this task in, you ask, when am I at my best for this type of work? Instead of powering through fatigue, you rest strategically. Instead of treating your body like a machine, you treat it like a performance vehicle that needs premium fuel and regular maintenance. Your most important work should happen during your peak energy hours. For most people, that's the first 3 hours after waking up. But hustlers waste this prime time on emails, meetings, and low-level tasks because they're not thinking strategically. Successful people protect their peak hours like a fortress. They do their most cognitively demanding work when they're sharpest. They schedule meetings and administrative tasks for their lower energy periods. They build their days around their biology, not their to-do list. This also means being honest about what drains your energy and what replenishes it. Some people are energized by social interaction, others are drained by it. Some people think best in silence, others need background noise. Stop trying to force yourself into someone else's productivity system and build one that works with your natural rhythms. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If you're exhausted all the time, you're not being productive. You're being reckless with your most valuable asset.
Shift 5. Perception architecture over pure performance. You believe that good work speaks for itself. You think that if you just keep your head down and deliver results, people will notice and reward you. You're wrong. Completely wrong. As Oscar Wilde wrote, "It is only shallow people who do not judge by appearances." In an ideal world, you'd be evaluated purely on merit, but we don't live in an ideal world. We live in a world where perception often matters more than reality, where the person who communicates their value effectively gets promoted over the person who just works hard quietly. Most hustlers have terrible self-promotion skills. They think talking about their accomplishments is arrogant or boastful, so they stay invisible. They work hard, they deliver results, and they watch less competent people get recognized and rewarded. Perception architecture is the strategic management of how people see you and your work. It's not lying, it's not manipulation. It's making sure the value you create is actually seen and understood by the people who matter. This starts with documentation. Every significant result you achieve should be captured and communicated, not in a bragging way, but in a clear, factual way. When you solve a problem, document the problem, your solution, and the result. When you complete a project, share the outcome with stakeholders. When you develop a new skill, make it visible. Successful people understand that influence is built through consistent visibility. They share their insights, they contribute to conversations, they make their expertise obvious to others, not because they're attention-seeking, but because they understand that invisible value has no value. This applies to how you present yourself, too. Your appearance, your communication style, your professional presence all shape how seriously people take you. You can be brilliant, but if you communicate like an amateur, people will treat you like one. The goal isn't to become a show-off or a self-promoter. The goal is to ensure that the quality of your work is matched by the quality of your communication about that work.
Shift 6. Strategic relationships over transactional networks. You're collecting contacts like trading cards. You're going to networking events. You're connecting with people on LinkedIn. But your network isn't opening doors. It isn't creating opportunities because you're networking wrong. As Jim Rohn said, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Hustlers approach relationships transactionally. They meet people and immediately think, what can this person do for me? They network with an agenda. They keep score of favors. They see relationships as a means to an end. Successful people build strategic relationships. They invest deeply in a small number of high-quality connections rather than superficially in hundreds of contacts. They give value before asking for it. They think in terms of decades, not transactions. Here's the difference. A transactional networker meets someone successful and asks for an introduction to their connections. A strategic relationship builder meets someone successful and asks about their journey, their challenges, their thinking. They seek to learn, not to extract. The most powerful relationships in your life will be the ones where you created value for the other person without expecting anything in return. When you help someone succeed, when you solve their problem, when you make their life better with no agenda, you create a bond that transcends typical networking. But here's what most people miss. Quality relationships require sacrifice. You can't be close with everyone. You need to be selective about where you invest your relational energy. One deep connection with the right person is worth more than 100 shallow connections with random people. Ask yourself, of my current relationships, which 3 people am I going to invest deeply in this year? Then commit to those relationships, not when it's convenient, not when you need something, consistently and genuinely. The hustler has 1,000 contacts. The successful person has 10 relationships that matter. Shift 7. Identity evolution over goal achievement. You're chasing goals. You want the money, the title, the recognition. You think that achieving these external markers will finally make you feel successful. But successful people understand something you don't. Goals are temporary. Identity is permanent. As James Clear wrote, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Most people set goals based on what they want to have or achieve. I want to make 6 figures. I want to get promoted. I want to build a successful business. These are outcome goals, and there's nothing wrong with them, but they're not enough. The problem with outcome goals is that they're finish lines. You achieve them, and then what? You set new goals. You chase new achievements. You're always running toward the next thing, never feeling like you've arrived. Identity-based transformation is different. Instead of asking, "What do I want to achieve?" you ask, "Who do I need to become?" Instead of focusing on the outcome, you focus on the transformation. A hustler says, "I want to make $1 million." A successful person says, "I am becoming someone who creates that much value." See the difference? One is about the destination, the other is about the evolution. When you shift your focus from goals to identity, everything changes. Your decisions become clearer because you're asking, what would the person I'm becoming do in this situation? Your habits become more consistent because they're reinforcing who you are, not just what you want. The person who identifies as an entrepreneur doesn't struggle with entrepreneurial actions. They're natural expressions of their identity. The person who identifies as healthy doesn't struggle with healthy choices. They're automatic. Most people are trying to achieve success while maintaining the identity of someone who isn't successful. They want different results while keeping the same thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors. That's why they stay stuck. Success isn't something you achieve, it's something you become. And that becoming requires letting go of who you were, your old stories, your limiting beliefs, your comfortable mediocrity. Ask yourself today, who do I need to become to achieve what I want to achieve? Then start living as if you're already that person, not in a fake-it-till-you-make-it way, in a genuine embodiment way. The hustler is trying to get somewhere. The successful person is becoming someone. That's the ultimate shift. You've just learned the 7 shifts that transform hustlers into success stories. But understanding these shifts won't change your life. Applying them will. Pick the shift that hit you the hardest, the one that exposed your biggest blind spot. For the next 30 days, focus on embodying that shift in everything you do. Notice how your results change. Notice how you feel different. Notice how people respond to you differently. Remember what we established at the beginning. Hustle doesn't equal success. Intelligence does. Strategy does. Evolution does. The world is full of people working themselves to death without getting ahead. Don't be one of them. Be the person who works smarter, who builds leverage, who creates value that compounds, who becomes the kind of person success naturally flows toward. The most exhausted person in the room is not the most successful. The most strategic person is. The most focused person is. The most evolved person is. Which person are you choosing to become? If this script shifted your perspective on success, let me know in the comments which shift resonated most with you, and which one are you going to implement first. Remember, you don't need to work harder, you need to think differently. Stay strategic, stay focused, and watch your hustle finally turn into the success you deserve.